Hi and welcome back to the WRX in the shed build. Quite a few episodes in now. If you caught the last one, we managed to get the engine running, which is absolutely fantastic. It's good to know that that fires up. So now it's time to get on with getting the electrics sorted out and just make sure that all the bits that we need working actually work. Get all that tidied up and tested and get on with a few bits and pieces on the interior because this car is really beginning to crack on now. So let's get onto it. So spent a couple of hours getting the dash back in the car now. Didn't want to bore you with all the details of it. It's in. Again, another discovery between the different versions. The version 1 gauge cluster is completely different to the version 4, so I actually had to take to the dash crash pad with a saw and get that to all fit and trim it up a bit and make some mountings up for it. But it's all in and done, which is good news. Also discovered for some odd reason this gauge cluster actually is out of an automatic. So that was interesting. Anyway, it's done. This morning while going through all my bits and pieces, I found that I have a couple of spare braided brake lines lying around. And so I found this one. I think it was a front brake line off a rally car that came in, or we changed a set of brakes or something on it anyway. And we didn't like the look of the line. It was a little bit sort of sad looking, so we took it off and we just had it sitting in a box around the place. Anyway, it's actually going to be perfect to be able to be used for the clutch line between the master cylinder and the slave cylinder on this car. So what I've done already is I've cut off, it had a 90-degree fitting on it. It wasn't really the best design for a brake line the way it was set up. Basically, searching through my box of stuff, I found I have got a spare Speedflow banjo fitting, which is perfect for this. This is a Dash 3 braided hose. Now, normally you may have seen the braided hoses don't normally have like a plastic coating over the top. They're just a plain stainless steel. This one's got the stainless steel inner. It's got a Teflon inner lining in it. You can sort of see the stainless steel ring there, and then it's got like a plastic coating, but that plastic coating doesn't make any difference for what we're using it for. Now, I like to cut this stuff down with an angle grinder to make a nice, neat, square cut on it. Got to expand these a little bit so there's enough room to get the olive in there behind it. Okay, bit of mucking around, but it's done. Okay, had to get a brand new slave cylinder. The old one, I think you're probably aware, was Cactus. I'm using the factory banjo bolt that goes into the slave cylinder. There's nothing wrong with those at all. However, I am using new copper washers. I've got a few of these spares that I keep. And ideally, if you're putting a banjo bolt or taking a banjo bolt off for some reason, the best way is to put new copper washers on it, and at least you know you're going to get a good seal. Take out flash blue brake hose. We'll get that bled and see what happens. Now, there's a few ways to bleed up these clutches. The easiest method is to try and let a bit of gravity feed go on there and just let the fluid trickle through. and if there's enough pressure in there, it'll actually the fluid level, that fluid level there will just sink and should push all the air out of the cylinder. That's a theory, though sometimes they do need a bit of a helping hand. With these heat shields, I wouldn't normally refit them to these cars. However, the earlier model version 1 and version 2, sort of, the intercoolers weren't that efficient. They certainly weren't as efficient as the later model intercoolers. And so just having a heat shield over it helps to keep some of the temp out from getting into the intercooler from the turbo. It astounds me that people do this. Just lately on Facebook, there's been a few of these where people have been asking for new interiors because the old ones have been ruined by this sort of thing. I mean, for us, it doesn't matter too much. It's a rally car, but I think this will definitely be getting a coat of black paint. While we're on the subject of the interior, we'll get this sorted out as well. It is the center console for the car. I'll make up a nice plate here. We'll take that out. This is only sitting in here temporarily. Make up a nice plate that fills this void up here, and then we'll use it to mount gauges and switches. Alright, so that looks a bit tidier than it did now. Also, I'm happy that we don't have a bright blue heater vent and top box. As some of you may know, unfortunately with these Subarus, these later model Subarus, the top section here has a flip top lid on them. The sun gets into them a bit like it has on the top of the glove box there, and unfortunately that tends to rot them out and they start to crack and become a bit nasty. You can buy some fairly tidy looking covers like that to actually mount gauges in them. However, for this application I'm not going to. I think it'll have a boost gauge and a switch panel mounted in here. I'll have to order the switch panel. We've got a standard type that we use that is very tidy and helps out. Yes, I could have made a trim section for this. Normally there's a cup holder here and the rear demister button. Obviously don't need any of that for this, don't need a rear demister. And also this button from the hazard lights has been modified because, again, something different. It fits in the space. Normally on the The version 1's, the hazard button is here. It does fit and the plug is the same. However, when I plugged it in, I found that the hazard lights didn't work, so I had to use the version 1 instead of the version 4, which has a flush finish on it. I will try and find the heater vents to go in here, even though there's no heater box in the car, to tidy that up. If not, I'll make a blanking plate up behind there just to cover those holes over. Really, it's all for aesthetics. At least the dash section is all now taking shape, which is great. Still got to wire in. I'm going to have to do some wiring for the power windows because the old rally car had wind-up windows in it. There is plugs and wiring there, and there is power to it, so that's going to require a little bit of mucking around. I'll only wire up the front doors. The rear doors, the windows can just remain closed, and that'll be fine. And now it'll be time to start mucking around, getting some of the other bits and pieces done, like handbrake, brake plumbing, and get the interior fitted out. Rightio, that'll do for this episode. Got a fair bit of work done, clutch plumbing sorted out, got the interior done, electrics tested, so that's all moving in the right direction. Curiously, I went to put the intercooler back on and discovered one of the stay brackets is missing for that, the one that bolts off the gearbox, so I'll need to chase that down. And also, the short hose between the intercooler and the throttle body's missing, so not sure where that's gone. If I'm not able to locate one for it, then I'll have to order a new silicone one. Anyway, minor details. Very good to see a few more subscribers. Thank you very much for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed already, please click that subscribe button and also the notification bell, and that'll let you know when we've uploaded new videos. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. That's much appreciated. And I'll catch you again on the next episode. Cheers.